2005, my company, Jackson Dawson, became involved in the Washtenaw area March of Dimes charity chef's auction. I felt good about it. I felt like we were doing good things for good people and for a good cause, but I don't know that I really had a deep perspective as to what it really means to families who are affected by preterm labor and premature birth. And I wouldn't know that until 2008 when we had our daughter Lily.
Lily was supposed to be born the middle of February, and so I was, in my mind, hoping to make it till Thanksgiving.
Things start happening like I'll get an elbow in the ribs at 3 a.m. saying something just doesn't feel right, where there's no outward signs. It's just she can tell something is going on in her body chemistry, that something is different now than it was an hour ago. And we would pick up and call a neighbor to come over and stay with Lindsay, and we would be off to the hospital. And we did this countless times throughout the 24 weeks that Lily was actually in mom's belly.
Eventually I went back and they just said, you're just going to be here for the remainder of the pregnancy, which we hoped at the time would be February. I mean, they realistically thought, they said, we've got, we kind of have everything under control now. We really think, this could, if you're here and we're monitoring you, this, pregnancy can go to term. So we were very hopeful at that point.
We were at the hospital at St. Joe's in labor and delivery, and one of the many days and nights that we had spent there as she was admitted on bed rest. And her contractions just had gotten to a point where we were unable to slow them down with Indocin. And doctors and nurses absolutely leapt into action, and we were in the C-section operating room in what seemed like minutes after they had decided to do it. My wife and I were obviously talking, trying to keep things light during the actual surgery, but when I saw Lily for the first time is really when it hit me that it was not good. At the beginning, they were saying things are kind of good, like day one, things are sort of okay, they're sort of stabilized. But literally with her, as the day would progress, therapies would be maxed to 100% and then brought back down. And it's during those times that she would really struggle. Day
to day, we didn't know, if it was a good day or a bad day, if she could accept noise or not. Some days she wouldn't even, you couldn't flip her cover up on her isolette, or she would, her sats would drop. They
told us that she would probably, over the course of her stay in the NI, have around between 3 and 5 blood transfusions in total. Well, she ended up having, in some cases, 3 blood transfusions a day.
Another part of it, too, is watching baby after baby after baby go home, and you're still there, and it seems like her progress is just not, she's making progress, but it's just so slow.
Even those things sort of become normal, and just when you think more can't happen to her, she proved us wrong. It turned out that after sepsis and pneumonia and untold number of transfusions and other things, that she had become so sick that her blood was literally turning against her. It became poison, and it was killing her before our eyes.
The nurses and the doctors were doing everything that they could do for her. And so we just did our jobs, which was by saying to her, and we had her baptized, and we were just there hoping she felt our presence.
It seemed miraculously that literally from the brink of death, she was making small progress.
Just little things like the day I came in and she had clothes on. That was exciting. Like she'd never, she just only had a diaper on the whole time. Just those little steps that made her able to come home.
The simplest things that now become part of your daily routine that you take for granted are like incredibly moving, emotional experiences to just be able to touch your child without her desatting. And we'd spent Christmas, and Halloween, and Thanksgiving, and New Year's Eve at the hospital with her. And finally, we were able to take her home. One of the very first things I did was I walked to the front porch and I shut off a light that had been burning for her for 119 days.
Lily today is just, she never stops moving. She is a bundle of energy. She's growing and she's doing everything that she's supposed to be doing, which is wonderful.
She is infuriating at times because I don't think she realizes how much money, time, and effort went into keeping her alive.
When I was in recovery, Steve was with Lily taking pictures of her so that I could see her. And he took his wedding ring off and put it around her foot. And that was one thing that really impacted me as to how small she was, is that his wedding ring would fit around her foot. And thanks to the March of Dimes, today she's a happy, healthy 2-year-old.
So this year I have a pretty different perspective about the March of Dimes Chef's auction. Without the help of the March of Dimes, I shudder to think what the prognosis of my child's life would be. But because of their support, our story has a happy ending.
You lie there in the stillness of your slumber, clinging to life. I reach inside to touch you, and you stir slightly. I feel a tiny breath like a feather caress my fingers as I love you through the glass. One eye opens, easily staring into mine. Can you see me? Can you feel my presence as I love you through the glass? I ache to hold you. I await the moment when you peacefully rest in my loving arms.